Coming up on today's video, we got a Saints versus Texans Week 6 preview as Derek Carr takes on CJ Stroud, who is starting off red hot. But before we get to that, I got some housekeeping news around the NFL that does impact the New Orleans Saints. And also, we're going to go through the injury reports and all that kind of stuff, so be sure to stick around throughout today's video. But let's get to some housekeeping rules and some housekeeping updates, So Anthony Richardson, the quarterback, phenomenon out of the University of Florida, he's been placed on injured reserve, meaning the Colts will be running with Gardner Minshew against the New Orleans Saints, that's who they play against in Week 8, and that will be one of the last weeks that Richardson should be on IR. Obviously, if he returns immediately, so that's just worth noting. The Saints will be playing against Gardner Minshew. And also, I want to give a shout-out to our guy, Blake Groupie. Clap it up for the kid, man, because he's the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week after being good from 2 separate field goals at 50-plus yards. He was perfect on extra points. He's been money. He's been lights out. Outside of that one kick in the Packers game, which we all know didn't actually happen. That game wasn't real, just like the Bucs game. But shout out to Blake Groupie. And guys, I want to encourage you to subscribe for more news, updates, live shows, watch parties, all sorts of great content. We're trying to get to 22,000 subs, so help me out. And as for some other updates and some news around the team, I want to talk about this real quickly. So the New Orleans Saints signed wide receiver Jontre Kirkland, Tommy Kramer, an offensive lineman, and J.P. Holtz to the practice squad today after practice. So there's some updates, there's some news, and that right there is why you subscribe. All right, let's break it down. Let's get crack-a-lackin' and let's get into it. New Orleans Saints, Houston Texans. It's gonna be a fun one. And now, do y'all remember the last time that the Texans and the Saints played? Not in the preseason. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 2019, Week 1, Monday Night Football. Remember when Drew Brees went down the field, took down Deshaun Watson, Will Lutz, game winner as time expired? I remember I was still in college, and I was running around my apartment screaming, "Who Dat? Let's go! Saints are the best team in the NFL!" I mean, I was such a pain in the butt to all my friends. But this time we got the Week 6 matchup, and I'm freaking ready for it. And if you are too, make sure you turn on your noties and like this video. So the New Orleans Saints, they are the favorites going into this matchup by 1 point. So it's pretty much a pick 'em. The Texans are the home team. I'm kind of a believer that the home team, you get 3 points anyway. So Vegas kind of liking the Saints in this one. They showed a lot of really good things on the offensive side of the ball. The defense has been stellar this entire season. And the over-under set at 42.5. So, guys, the matchup history, it's actually pretty interesting. So the New Orleans Saints and Houston have only met 5 times in the regular season. And it's pretty cool and it's pretty interesting. I think the streak could be broken this year. The team that wins every matchup is the home team. So it's been Saints, Texans, Saints, Texans, Saints. Both, it's the home teams that won, which is pretty interesting. And this is going to be the first win, if they can make it happen, in Houston since the Texans joined the NFL, which is pretty interesting to me. So credit where it's due, though. I want to just give a massive shout-out to new head coach in Houston, DeMeco Ryans. I mean, he came over from the San Francisco 49ers, who are a stellar franchise and an absolutely great football team. And he has that team ready to frickin' go. I mean, he has that team playing tough. They're not the most talented roster. They're not the most deep roster. Heck, they're not the most experienced roster. But I'll sit here and tell you right now, DeMeco Ryans has his team ready to play every single week. And now, Week 1, 25-9, it's, there's a lot of growing pains. It's the first game with a new head coach, new rookie quarterback, new defense, all sorts of new stuff. So 25-9, sure. It's a loss. It's ugly, whatever. But in Week 2, lost 31-20. They put up some points. They were pretty effective on the offensive side of the ball in Week 3 as well. They had 37-17. And then in Week 4, they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin is not a joke. That Steelers team, sure, it may not be as great as they normally are. That being said, it's a good win. That's a really good win for the Texans. And then in week 5, those scumbag Atlanta Falcons had to kick a game-winning field goal to beat a rookie quarterback. Desmond Ridder frickin' sucks. He's an idiot, and he stinks. I'm not worried about the Falcons whatsoever. But this is how the Texans got here. This is just kind of how things shaking out. Now, I'm not going to go through the Saints, schedule. We all know what's kind of gone down. We have all watched the games together. We've all been a part of the watch party, so y'all already informed with the Saints side of things. But this is just the Texans side of things, and I want to let you weigh in here. Who you got? Type S for Saints. Type T for Texans. Let me know in the comment section. This will be the pinned comment, so if YouTube throws you an ad break, take advantage of it. Share your thoughts. Scroll on down. By the time you're done, type in your answer. The video will be playing once again. All right, so let's get into my keys to victory because, like I said, I think this is a game that the Saints can win, and it could be a statement win, just like last week. I don't think that it's going to be a 34-0 win by any means. I think that this is actually going to be kind of a scrappy, hard-fought win for whoever comes out victorious. But a big key for me is win the turnover battle. Because the Saints have forced 7 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries this season alone. Last year, entirely 7 interceptions. This year, they've already met that number. So I'm just going to say this: do not slow down. And here's some of the ball magnets on New Orleans. So you see the guys on screen: Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu, Paulson Adebo, Marcus May, Cam Jordan. But guys like Pete Werner, Isaac Yiadom, and Lonnie Johnson have also come away with takeaways. So these are players that I find need to be very effective. And I really want to see the Saints create a lot of turnovers. But the Texans, I'm going to give them credit. Just like I did earlier. DeMeco Ryans has that team ready to go. He's a defensive-minded guy. In this Texans defense, they're playing pretty well, to be quite honest. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're an amazing unit and you should be terrified of them, but you can't overlook them because you got guys like Steven Nelson, Blake Cashman, Jalen Pitre, MJ Stewart, and Graylin Arnold, that are forcing turnovers week in and week out. Jalen Pitre, I was very high on coming out of Baylor during his draft process. I wanted the Saints to go and get him. I thought he could have been a very good addition in New Orleans, but he's tearing it up in Houston. And so my point on all of this is the defense needs to show out, and they have to stay hot. If you can limit this team, the Houston Texans, to 0 points, awesome. That would be pretty sick. If you can limit that Houston Texans team to 14 points, I think that's incredible too. I just want to see the Saints defense capitalize and build off of the momentum that they created against the Patriots. Don't let that win go to waste. Don't let that win just be another game. Build off of it. Get some confidence. Have fun with this game. This could be a really good game for New Orleans. And number 2, key to victory for me, is attack the holes on Houston's roster. I mean, like I've said, they're a young and talented team, and they should not be overlooked. I mean, that's exactly what happened with the Dallas Cowboys losing to the Arizona Cardinals. Weren't ready to go. Didn't prepare correctly. They had no idea what was going on. And this is something that I wanted to talk about because the injury reports just dropped recently in the last 10, 20 minutes. We got in the stew and we got a video. Shout out to my guy, producer Chip, for hanging out. So Laramie Tunsil, we're going to go through the injury report for Houston. Then we're going to go through the injury report for the Saints. So that way y'all are informed. So Laramie Tunsil, offensive tackle. He's a stud. He's really, really good when he plays. He's a very talented tackle when he's healthy. He did not participate in practice today. Shaq Griffin also did not participate with the calf issue. Robert Woods had a rib injury / non-injury related. He didn't practice. Malik Collins, abdomen as well. And then Tank Dell, he is dealing with a concussion. He is likely to not play. There are reports about that from Aaron Wilson and all sorts of other sources out there. So I don't expect Tank Dell to go, which stinks because I actually think he's a pretty good player. And I think it could have been a really good test for a guy like Alontae Taylor. But I also want to talk about Blake Cashman, George Fant, Christian Harris, and Shaq Mason because they are all limited participants for the Texans. Shaq Mason, he's a quality guard. He can be pretty effective in that in the interior offensive line. Blake Cashman, he's a guy who forces turnovers on the defense. You gotta capitalize on these injuries. And then here are the full participants on that injury report for the Texans. Wide receiver Noah Brown, offensive tackle Titus Howard, guard Josh Jones, linebacker Denzel Perryman, who was formerly with the Las Vegas Raiders, and then Tavierre Thomas, who's dealing with a hand. He is a full participant. And coming up, guys, I'm going to get into the Saints injury report, and I'm going to talk about the different injuries, some of the guys who were not at practice or who were not participating at practice today, some of the guys who were injured, but they're actually looking pretty good now. But before we get to that, I got to show some love to our awesome sponsor today. It's Prize Picks. And guys, if you haven't heard already, if you haven't bought what we're trying to sell here, Prize Picks is awesome. And I cannot wait to tell you how great Prize Picks is. It's the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America, and it's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. You don't have to battle against thousands of other players, pros, sharks, or any of that. You just select 2 or more players, you pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And you can see on screen right here, I'm going with more for Alvin Kamara rushing yards. I'm going for less on CJ Stroud's passing yards. And then on top of that, I'm going for more on Michael Thomas receiving yards. I think these projections are going to make me a lot of money. So if you want to make a lot of money with me, hey, you see the link right below me, prizepicks.com/CLNS. So one more time, Saints fans, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, so let's talk about the Saints injury report. This one sucks. I hate seeing Juwan Johnson hurt because he's one of my low-key favorite players on the roster. I think that he's really effective. Y'all know my nickname for him, Mr. Reliable. Did not participate, so hopefully he will be able to go. He's dealing with a calf issue. Lonnie Johnson also did not participate. He's got a hamstring injury. Adam Prentice has a knee issue. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I wouldn't play Adam Prentice either way. Go ahead and bench him. Kind of tired of hearing his name. Not supposed to hear about a fullback all that often. JT Gray, special teams guy, safety. He is a stud. He is a big part of that special teams unit. He did not participate. He's dealing with a hamstring. Landon Young, he's dealing with a hip issue, and he did not participate. And then Jimmy Graham, Ryan Ramczyk, they're always vet rest guys. They limited participants / did not participate today. That's kind of a routine thing. So, there's nothing really to worry about there for those two guys. But here are the limited participants: Cameron Jordan, Chris Olave, and James Hurst. Now, before we go to the next thing, just did you panic when you saw these two guys up here? Because I did for a second. But, it's nothing really to worry about. Chris Olave, his toe issue, he actually played through last week. You saw videos of him working with the trainers early in the game. Was able to go. Dennis Allen reported afterwards. He made it through the game. No issues. It's all fine. Nothing to worry about. So he's all right. James Hurst, be better at football and also get healthy at this point. Now, Cameron Jordan, that one scares me. That one stinks. Let's hope that doesn't get re-aggravated. But the dude's an Iron Man. He's missed, I think, 2 games in total, and only one of them was an actual injury. The other one was because of a global pandemic. So there you go. He's going to probably be all right. And then here's the full participants. Some good news here. So you got Derek Carr. He has that shoulder issue after hurting his AC joint against the Green Bay Packers. Marcus May, his suspension's over, so he was a full participant, was back at practice today. And then Andrus Peat was dealing with that concussion issue. He's a full participant. So the offensive line the starting offensive line at least, should be the normal unit that we see week in and week out with all the starters. So fingers crossed. Let's hope everything's okay. And let's hope that O-line can continue to build off the momentum that they have created. I want to talk about some Houston weaknesses because the Texans, we've talked some about their strengths. We've talked about their players, but there's ways to win this game. These are easy things to exploit here. My key to victory is fill those gaps, fill those holes, giggity. Take advantage of the weaknesses. And here's 3 big ones. The run game, they struggle to defend those outside runs. So if you can send guys on an outside zone, you can do a little pitch pass or a little pitch play, a little halfback toss, something like that. Run it. Run the hell out of it. Give Alvin Kamara the ball and let him go. Give Kendre Miller, put the rock in his hands and let him be a bully. Secondary on intermediate routes. I want to see Michael Thomas. I know we joke about it. I know that the whole slant boy thing is a thing. Have him run some freaking slants. They work. They work, don't they? Why wouldn't you do it? Have him run some slants. Put Rashid Shaheed over the middle. Send him deep. Get Chris Olave involved. Get Taysom Hill involved. Like, use all aspects of the field. Don't just throw to the outsides. Don't just run up the middle. Use the whole field, Pete Carmichael. I know this is a new thing to you. Having an offense that actually knows what that looks like it knows what it's doing. This is a new concept, so let's just make sure that we can do that. And then the other big weakness that they have is a very young offense who hasn't really been tested. I mean, y'all saw who they played against already. The Ravens, quality unit. Colts, not really sure. Steelers, I don't know. Falcons, they suck. They haven't really been tested by a good team yet. I'm not going to sit here and say the Saints are a great team, but the Saints have a really good defense and have an offense that can put up points. So this is going to be a big test for Houston. Let's frickin' put it to them. Or let's bring it to them. Because I know for a fact that we can beat this team. So, guys, I also want a very quick little push right here. Look how close we are to passing the Browns report. So they get weekly live shows every single week on Tuesdays. And unfortunately, I love Matthew Peterson, but I have to go and produce those every single week, which means I don't get to do Saints content. Tuesdays for me could be a Saints live day if we can catch Browns report. So help me out. Let's catch them, and let's pass the next big channel because Saints now has passed every channel here at Chat Sports that we have tried, and so let's go make the Browns our next victim. All right, key to victory number 3. We got to stop C.J. Stroud. Let me re-say that again. You got to stop C.J. Stroud. Show him what an NFL defense is supposed to look like. Show him what pressure is. Show him what interceptions look like. Show him what it looks like to not be a great quarterback. Because at Ohio State, and so far this season, he's been pretty freaking good. And I'm not going to sit here and say that these numbers are insane. I'm not going to sit here and say that these numbers are anything to go run home about. But C.J. Stroud having 7 touchdowns and no interceptions is unbelievable to me. And I quite honestly want to say this. I think that either the C.J. Stroud and the Texans offense has to fold with giving up no interceptions, or the Saints defense is going to have to fold because they've forced 7 interceptions. I mean, 1,461 yards as a rookie through 5 weeks? Are you kidding me? 98.4 rating? Come on, man. C.J. Stroud is freaking good. So you're going to have to stop him. And here are their leading receivers in Houston right now. Again, we're trying to familiarize y'all with the opponent because we know y'all know the Saints, but we want you guys to know the Texans. So as we said earlier, Tank Dell likely not to play, so you don't have to worry about him, the former Houston Cougar. It's pretty cool he got to stay in Houston. But Nico Collins, Robert Woods, Dalton Schultz, tight end formerly with the Dallas Cowboys. Those are 3 guys you're going to have to look out for, especially Dalton Schultz in the red zone, especially Nico Collins. These are players that are quality and can make some noise. Robert Woods is a veteran. He's getting old. He's not what he used to be, but he's still a veteran, and so you still have to account for him. And here's actually a pretty cool chat stat for you. The Saints are the only team in the NFL to have 3 shutouts since 2021. It's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty interesting. So I want to see the Saints defense get a 4th. How cool would it be to get back-to-back shutouts? How often does that happen? Chip, how often does that happen? Has it ever happened? I don't know. Maybe it has. Maybe it hasn't. But go get that 4th one. That would be pretty cool. I want to see the Saints defense just continue to dominate week in and week out. So sound off for me. What's your Texans versus Saints score prediction? I'm going to give you mine here at the end of the video. We're almost done with my keys to victory, and I'm going to give you mine here at the very end, but take a second to comment yours down below. And now my key to victory number 4, and my last key to victory, the offense has to come prepared. Pete Carmichael, this one's on you, man. The offense has to be prepared. They got to be confident. And my biggest point, they have to be cohesive. This is not a unit that will succeed if they are on different pages. We finally got to see the Saints offense be on the same page for once. I mean, it felt like this has been something we've been trying to see. We've been itching to watch since Drew Brees left. The offense is finally starting to find its rhythm. Don't backtrack. Stay on top of your shit. I'm sorry, but stay on top of your shit. Don't beat yourself. I don't think the Texans can beat you. I think if you lose this game, the Saints beat themselves. That's shit. Call it loser talk. That's just what I believe. I don't think that the Texans roster is talented enough to go step for step, blow for blow, punch for punch with the New Orleans Saints. But if the Saints want to win this game, they have to stay out of their own way. And Derek Carr, it's going to start with you. Cardi Gras has not started off hot. It's 946 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You remember those numbers from C.J. Stroud? Over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. Getting outplayed by a rookie. Step it up, DC. Get the ball out. Stop holding on to the ball too long. This isn't me trying to come after him and say I hate him, but you got to play better. He showed progress. He showed that he was listening to what we were saying in last week's game. But continue to develop. Continue to get better. Continue to shape things out. That's my biggest point. And the big three can really help you out with that. Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed all should be ready to go this week. I mean, who wouldn't want to see MT get a touchdown this week? Who wouldn't want to see Big 13 hit a flex in the end zone? Because I do. I mean, look at the stats for these three guys. I hate to say it, but they could be doing better, man. They could be playing better. And I really, really want to see the rushing attack play better as well. The wide receivers, sure. They're just not, like the offense just isn't finishing drives. The wide receivers have been like the only really security blanket we've had because Alvin Kamara was suspended, and then Jamal Williams got hurt, and then Kendre Miller was also hurt, and then we got Alvin Kamara back, and then Jamal Williams still out, and then that's my point. The rushing attack needs to tear it up. The Texans rank 17th in rushing yards per game allowed with 112.4. Go get some numbers. Get to step in, AK. Get to step in, Kendre, because let's freaking go. I want to see these two guys absolutely tear it up. Alvin Kamara has been electric this year. But here, you like that number at the very bottom? 6 receptions for 58 yards, which is better than what Alvin Kamara has done this season. And I'm not taking away from 41. I'm not taking away from any of that. I'm just trying to give some props to Big 2-5. Because Kendre Miller, if you're wearing number 25, you got some big shoes to fill in a Saints uniform. I'm just saying. Running back number 25, ring a bell to anybody? Reggie Bush, Heisman winner, give him his trophy back, free Reggie. Yeah, Kendre Miller, he's living up to it, and he is playing well. Continue to dominate, get in the end zone, and I want to see these two guys step in all day long. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I can't make this any clearer. I'm trying to, make this blatantly obvious. Pete, hey, Pete, are you listening? Win in the red zone. Score points. Stop kicking field goals. Shout out to Blake Groupie for being the special teams NFC player of the week. But stop kicking field goals. I want touchdowns. I need to see this team win in the red zone. I want to see this team be absolutely explosive. I want to see this team play 4 full quarters. I want to see this team dominate on every side of the ball. So if you do too, if you want this offense to be explosive, if you want this team to be explosive, if you want this team to walk out with the frickin' W eating one of these, type Who Dat. Don't jinx it. Just type Who Dat. It's pretty easy. That's all. Just type Who Dat. Show some love in the comment section. Now let's run through the keys to victory again, just in case you guys missed it or in case you guys were a little confused as to what I was trying to get through. So big one, win the turnover battle. Number 2, attack Houston's weaknesses with all those injuries, with all the lack of experience they have. Go attack it. Number 3, you got to stop C.J. Stroud. He started off red hot. You can't let him stay hot. And the last one, offense can't be lacking on all sides of the attack, whether it's aerial, whether it's on the ground, whether it's Taysom Hill. Keep the motions going. Keep things crazy. Keep things interesting. Those are my big 4 keys to victory. And my final score prediction, 27-17, Saints win, because I believe in this team, and I think that New Orleans could come out on top and leave Houston with the victory for the first time ever. So, guys, if you want to interact with me, if you need any other updates, any news, content, or just want to chop it up about the Saints before that game, hit me up on Twitter at Trace Girouard 48. My links will be in the comment section and in the description of this video. It's also the same handle on Instagram if you don't have Twitter, but you still want to give me a follow. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And as always, y'all stay golden. Catch you next time.